Now welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Some Star Wars, where I'm going to begin by warning you that there will be some spoilers for the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett in this video, which is the 6th episode. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want anything ruined, it's probably a good time to click away. Okay, that said, today for the 3rd video in a row, we're going to be talking quite a bit about attachments. It's even the topic of the poll where I asked if you were starting a Jedi Order, what would your stance on attachments be? Yes or no, allow them or don't allow them. And it turns out that most people, 60% of them, said it was more complicated than that, while 36% said they would allow them and only 4% said they wouldn't allow them, which I'd say are interesting but probably unsurprising results. Either way, with a lot to discuss, let's waste no time and get right to your comments on this one, because there were, as usual, a lot of really good comments, and I'm sure I will give some long-winded responses, which means we won't get to as many as I would like to. So let us begin, as usual, with the top-rated comment, which this time came to us from Ominous Puppet, who said, "I would do exactly as Luke in Legends did. People join out of their own free will and are encouraged to better channel their emotions and skills. As Jolie Bindu said, love will save you, not condemn you, and passion and love are not the same thing." Okay, so let me start by saying that I love the Expanded Universe, and I highly enjoyed Luke's story in the Expanded Universe. I enjoyed the fact that he was attached, quote-unquote, to Mara Jade in those stories. She is one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. So don't attack me in the comments for anything I'm about to say here. I'm going to be playing a lot of Devil's Advocate in this video. That said, I'm not sure Luke's Jedi Order in the EU is the greatest example of the right way when you consider just how many problems he had along the way. How many students fell to the dark side. Not that all of them, or even most of them, fell because of attachments, mind you. Not to mention Luke's own continued issues with attachments. I mean, a fun topic for discussion could be Luke's reaction to Mara Jade's death, right? He didn't exactly handle that very well, did he? He flat out pretty much loses it and seeks revenge. Yes, he regrets it later, but regret and prevention are two different things. As for the words and philosophies of Jolie, and he is a character from Knights of the Old Republic, if you do not know, and I'm going to be replaying that game starting in the next few days, and probably doing a lot of videos about it over on my other channel. Anyway, I think he's right, that there's obviously a huge difference between love and passion, and love itself does not lead to the dark side. Passion, though, can. I also agree that's exactly, or pretty much exactly, what the Jedi should be taught, or how they should be taught. Though I feel that's probably how they are taught, and I'm talking about in the prequel era. I'd even argue that the bulk of Jedi training is learning how to handle your emotions and to separate the good from the bad, if you will, and to embrace the good. I mean, right in Episode 2, Anakin says that compassion is essential to a Jedi's life, which he defines as unconditional love, which is a great definition, and that they are even encouraged to love, which is pretty much the opposite of what some people seem to believe about the Jedi, which is that they are emotionless robots who try to suppress all these feelings and that they have nothing that they care about, and so, of course, they're eventually going to fall to the dark side because they have no empathy, when again, that's the opposite. They are nothing but empathetic. That is their bread and butter, and instead they base their very existence on arguably the most powerful and important emotion there is, which is love. It's the foundation of everything they do. In fact, you could argue they are even the very embodiment of love. Again, unconditional love, while the Sith are the embodiment of passion, or more selfish or possessive love. Alright, let's move on now to this comment from Neil, who said, "Jolie Bindu from Knights of the Old Republic, my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters, made an excellent point when discussing the dark side. Love does not lead to the dark side. Passion can lead to rage and fear, and can be controlled, but passion is not the same thing as love. Bindu advised the Jedi to teach their students to control their passions while being in love, and that love is not a bad thing. This is how I always saw the Jedi advancing, that their cultist, dogmatic principle of no attachment actually leads more Jedi towards the dark side. Namely because these Padawans are being held to an unrealistic standard, and one that can cause more harm than good. Case in point, Anakin Skywalker and his fall to the dark side. Overall, that's how I'd create a new Jedi Order, one that allows for marriage and attachment, but perhaps about controlling one's passions and being more cognizant, self-aware of your emotions. You do that, and the Order, in my theory, is a lot stronger than before." Okay, so what do you mean their ways of no attachment led more Jedi to the dark side? of the 10,000 Jedi of the prequel era, how many actually fell? We have Dooku, Anakin, Quinlan Vos, I suppose, and Dark Disciple, and that's about it in the official canon. And all of them were manipulated by a Sith Lord. It wasn't the fact that they struggled with the rules or just struggled with the rules that led to their fall. And how many in the 1,000 years before that fell as well? And yeah, we obviously don't have the answer to that, and I'm sure some did fall to the dark side, but likely only a tiny, tiny amount, and not anywhere near enough to prevent the Jedi Order from bringing a time of great peace and prosperity to the galaxy, to say nothing of what Obi-Wan says in A New Hope, that for 1,000 generations, or 25,000 years, the Jedi had been the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Basically, I think one problem people have here, and mind you, the prequel-era Jedi do have problems, but I'm not sure attachment is that problem, per se. But anyway, I think one problem people have is, for whatever reason, they believe all the Jedi must be miserable because Anakin, just this one Jedi, is having difficulty with the rules and living that way, living a life of no attachment. When, in reality, most Jedi, almost all of them, find a profound sense of purpose, fulfillment, and joy in their way of life. They are genuinely happy, not depressed and trying to hide it. They're not living a life of lies and secrets like Anakin did. And this is where some will say he had to live a life of lies and secrets because of the Jedi Code. The Jedi Code is bad because Anakin didn't want to follow it. But he didn't have to follow it. He could have told Obi-Wan or Yoda or any other Jedi the problems he was having. He could have told them, I don't want to follow these rules anymore and I want to leave the Order. And they would have let him go, the same way they let Ahsoka choose to walk away and didn't stop her. That's the part some people are missing here. If it wasn't working for him, if he couldn't handle the rules and the Jedi Code, he should have left the Jedi Order. Instead, he wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too. He wanted both. He wanted to be a Jedi and to have strong attachments to another, to love and to marry Padme. He didn't want to have to make the choice between the two, and to make it when it would have been easy and without repercussions for anyone but himself, back when he first fell in love with Padme and married her. Instead, by putting it off, he was then forced to make the choice in the most crucial of moments, when the very galaxy itself was on the line. He had to pick between the Jedi way and Padme, and he picked Padme, which is why I love the choice Luke is giving Grogu right now in the Book of Boba Fett. He is asking him, do you want to be a Jedi, and can you make the hard choices when push comes to shove? Which, yes, you could argue the Jedi of old could have and should have been better about. That was a flaw of theirs, and it's a flaw Luke is correcting by asking as soon as he realizes Grogu has deep love for another. He's giving him the choice now instead of waiting for the galaxy to be on the line to have to make the choice then. To me, what Luke is doing this test is handling this perfectly. Alright, and next up here we have this comment from Chris Evans, who said, the pre-Disney version of Luke's Jedi Order had it right, allow attachments. The trilogy proves out that trying to prevent them caused them to happen in secret and with more negative emotions attached. Also, it was attachment that brought those who fell and nearly fell to the dark side back. Vader, Luke, Kylo, etc. And yeah, the prequels prove that keeping them a secret was bad. But as I just discussed, Anakin didn't have to keep them a secret. He didn't want to follow the rules and lived a life of lies and deception. And the Jedi Order and the very galaxy paid the price for those lies. And as far as we know, no other Jedi had a problem following the rules. I'm not saying the Jedi way is not dogmatic at all, and I'm not saying no other Jedi had any sort of problems, but we're just assuming they did or must based on our own feelings, how we feel about attachments in our own real world and in our own lives, and on one anecdotal story, Anakin's story, while ignoring 25,000 years of success by the Jedi Order following these rules. You're also arguing that Luke should now change the rule to allow attachments, to allow that thing that you could argue led to the destruction of the Jedi Order. And really think about the logic of that argument. You want to change the rule because it didn't work for one person who didn't want to follow that rule, even though they didn't actually have to follow the rule, they could have left. And even though it worked for potentially millions of other Jedi over the ages who had safeguarded the galaxy for trillions of people, and that these Jedi were happy and content with living that way. Again, you get a profound sense of peace and fulfillment and all of these things from being a Jedi. That's what people are missing. They're always like, well, you don't have attachments. You don't have these things that you care about in life. The Jedi care about the entire galaxy unconditionally. They love it all the people unconditionally. I'm not sure how people miss that when they say they have nothing that they care about. They literally care about the entire galaxy. Anyway, you basically want to change the rule because someone broke the rule and caused a catastrophe. I mean, wouldn't that be an argument for the rule, that it works, that it's in place for a reason? Furthermore, I fail to see why or how Anakin makes a different choice had attachments been allowed. If he'd been allowed to marry Padme and not keep it a secret, what really changes in that fateful moment? Because it was the fear of losing her that led him to the dark side, not the fact that he had to keep it a secret. And it's not easy to teach someone to let go of something they are allowed to attach themselves to. You could even argue, what's the point of marrying someone if you can't have a passionate, possessive type relationship? If you don't put them above all else, your marriage doesn't mean a whole lot, does it? It's not really all that romantic to say, yeah, I love you, honey, but I'd let you die if I have to, especially if it means having to save a Sith Lord to do it. But that's the thing. None of us will have to sacrifice a loved one to kill a Sith. That's not something we face in the real world. So it's easy for us to sit here and say, well, you know, just teach them to let go. But you're never going to have to fight a Sith Lord. You're never going to be put in a situation like Anakin where the galaxy is on the line. Which is the problem and the big difference between the real world and Star Wars. The Force and the dark side are real, and for better or worse, people are needed to stand against it, just like we need people to stand against evil and to sacrifice in our real world, but in different ways. And to give up possessive love and settle for just unconditional love for all, for everyone in the galaxy, and for a life of service that, again, is a profound sense of fulfillment, well, that's just one of the things that has to happen in the Star Wars galaxy. Okay, and next up here we have this comment from Victory Reviews, who said, Yoda speaks on how attachment leads to the dark side, but it was not allowing Anakin to hold on to them which caused him to seek the dark side. The only thing that returned Vader back into Anakin was his attachment to his loved ones, Padme, Leia, and Luke. So Luke not allowing Grogu to hold onto his attachments is deeply worrying and goes against his character in my opinion. Okay, so again, Anakin could have held on to Padme. He just had to leave the Order. Nothing and no one was stopping or preventing him from being honest other than his desire to have both. And in my opinion, and I went over this a bit before, but giving Grogu this choice is so in line with Luke's character that it gives me hope for the future of Star Wars, and that, discarding the sequels for a moment, that they'll get Luke right in this time period. Because Luke has a very complicated history with attachments. Him running off to save his friends in The Empire Strikes Back should have gotten him killed, and in Return of the Jedi, his attachment to Leia almost causes him to fall to the dark side after Vader threatens her. And you could argue that if Palpatine just keeps his mouth shut in that critical moment, Luke doesn't bring himself back from the brink. He doesn't realize he's becoming his father, which is what really stops Luke then and there. Not love for his father, but the realization he's going down the exact same wrong path. What saves Anakin is compassion for his father. Yes, Luke's compassion for him. The same thing all Jedi are supposed to have. Which, no, isn't to say it's not a beautiful moment or that any other Jedi in the galaxy could have had done the exact same thing and had compassion for the monster that Anakin Skywalker had become. Arguably, Luke was the only one in the galaxy who could save his father. And being his son, being attached to his father, no doubt plays a part in that final moment, a big part. But even still, I don't know that Luke's immediate thought after this, after he reflects on everything, is that I should change everything about the way the Jedi Order is and allow the thing that led to my father's downfall in the first place, what led him down the dark path. It may be something he eventually decides should change, but it would come with baby steps, starting with a choice given to Grogu. Luke is not just going to reflect on 25,000 years of history and say, I know better starting today and I'm going to change a big rule starting today. No, it's again going to be baby steps. He's going to see how it works, see what doesn't work. He is starting with a choice. That is a big first step. And so the fascinating part with Luke's story isn't that he immediately gets it right. That was the argument so many people who wanted to defend the sequels made, that, oh, you just wanted Luke to be perfect. No, I don't want Luke to be perfect. I want to continue his story. I want to see this character grow into a master Jedi someday who does get it right, whatever that may look like. And I think that's where his story lies. If they can do this right, if they can slowly change the perception that, yes, maybe some attachments are good, then I am going to love what they do with Luke. But again, we do have the sequels to worry about. Alright, I'm done rambling. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you agree, disagree, and can respectfully give your opinion in the comments below. Either way, let's move on to just a couple final comments. And again, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people left some great comments, but I like to ramble. So here we go, starting with this one from John D, who said, Jedi are encouraged to love, but not to possess. Love is not affectionate feeling, but a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good as far as it can be obtained. This is a quote from C.S. Lewis. Then there's also this comment from LTG Videos who said, I think Legends Luke had it right. His first students included a failed clone and an elderly man amongst a slew of teens, young adults. Some of his Jedi ended up marrying each other and having kids that became Jedi. Attachment and close family did challenge Luke's Jedi and Luke himself many times. Those bonds also helped save them and allow them to perform incredible feats. The key is having the support available to help Jedi when they have to make the choice between their duty and their attachments. We also have this one from Lone Battle Droid who said, It's hard because some people can have attachments but not let it get in the way, but others can fail and let it consume them. I think it would have to be a case-by-case study where I test the Jedi in question to see if their attachments are healthy or not. And of course, I'd make it clear they don't have to stay with the Jedi if they don't want to. They're not pressured, to stay or shamed for having attachments. And to throw in a quick comment, that feels exactly what Luke is doing with Grogu. Alright, then there's this one from Maniacal Matt who said, I think Avatar covered this topic super well. Why would I want to let go of Katara? 3 chakras ago, that was a good thing. You must learn to let her go, Aang. Love, possession, attachments, it's all important to living your life, but your duty as Jedi, Avatar, whatever comes first. It's the main reason I couldn't be a Jedi, because I'm a very family-focused person. I couldn't put anything before my family. If I were in Grogu's position, I'm taking my dad's armor. We also then here have this one from Tommy Faust, who said, as Anakin himself said, some might say Jedi are encouraged to love. Luke's new Jedi Order should focus on how to love and maintain relationships in a healthy way, while it's not letting them rule your life or the greater good of the galaxy. And finally here we have this one from Ethan9HX, who said, I'm not sure people are understanding the idea of love without attachment too well. I think it's Eastern in nature. The whole point of no attachment is so that what happened to Anakin doesn't happen. Someone chooses their own will over the will of the Force. Marriage is the strongest attachment, so none of that. Also family, so Jedi are taken at a very young age. The Council sensed Anakin's attachment to his mother, and that caused problems with anger and the fear of letting her go that ultimately led him to the dark side. Attachment is not wanting to let something go, so attachments are selfish according to the Jedi. You can love people and be willing to let them go. The whole idea of the Jedi is selflessness. Totally giving of yourself and giving up your attachments out of love. Basically, the Jedi philosophy is that attachments are selfish, as you want that person for yourself. Love and selflessness means giving of yourself for their best interests, or the will of the Force, not your own. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Should be an interesting discussion in the comments below, at least I'm hoping so, and I will get to some of them later. I am playing D&D this afternoon, so do leave those comments below. Tell me what you think about attachments. Are they good? Are they bad? Did I make a good argument or not? And do you think Luke should eventually or immediately allow them in his Jedi Order? Whatever the case may be, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.